Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome back to the Complete with Purdeep Show. You are here live with me. My name is obviously Purdeep Sangha. Thanks for joining us today. So I have a favor to ask of you. Please like and share this show with your network. Again, we are, I believe, 6 episodes into this show, and we've gotten some awesome feedback, and I appreciate you watching this show. So thank you so much. Today, I'm super excited because we have an awesome guest on. He's also a friend of mine. He's a co-host on another podcast that we have. Just an awesome guy overall. He's also a fellow Canadian living in the US, so we're going to bring him on in a little bit. For you guys out there who are high performers right now and you want to perform even better, or you want to be a high performer, maybe you're having challenges with your health or performance in some way, you definitely want to tune into this episode. It's going to be really important because what Justin has to say, it can make a world of a difference for your performance, your relationship, your overall well-being, and your business and your career. So stay tuned for that. In today's show, we have an awesome theme or topic. It's one of the 13 C's of being the complete man, and it's all about commitment today. So why are we talking about commitment? I think this is a really big one for me, especially because we've been through a really tough year in 2020 for a lot of guys. For some people, it's been a really great year. For guys like Jeff Bezos, for example, whose net worth just shot up because everybody's shopping online. But for everybody else who had traditional businesses or careers, maybe you've lost your job or perhaps your business was affected, negatively impacted by this. It's been a challenge. And what's happened over this last year, I've seen kind of, you could say, 2 aspects or 2 different viewpoints in terms of how men reacted to the COVID challenges. The first camp, basically, I heard a lot of guys say, you know what, this year's a write-off for me. I'm just going to write off 2020. I know I'm not going to be able to do what I need to do. And then you have the other group of men who are like, I'm staying committed to my goals. I don't care what it takes. I don't care about COVID. I don't care about the political challenges or whatever that's happening. I'm going to stay committed and I'm going to do whatever it takes to hit my goal and my vision. So that's what we're talking about here when it comes to being a complete man, is being absolutely committed to your goals. If you truly want to achieve what you want to achieve in life, whether that's have an awesome relationship, have that awesome career, the business, the wealth, that freedom that you're looking for, it has to take commitment. There is no option. You can't go in one day and say, you know what, I'm going to put in 110% today, but then the next day just give up. You can't do that. So my ask of you is not only to finish 2020 off strong, but also start 2021 off strong and be committed to your goals. Set your goal for 2021 and stay committed, because there is always a way. You just got to find it. So if you want to find out more about the 13 C's of being the complete man, then you could get your copy of the Complete Man book. I'm so excited because this just launched last week. We did an awesome launch. I have to thank my team out there. I have to thank you for supporting. If you got a copy of this book, if you wrote a review, I really appreciate it. We were on Amazon's international bestseller list. We were also the #1 in a number of categories: business entrepreneurship, business leadership, small business, business mentoring and coaching and business. I believe it was motivation and self-help, and also self-help and success. So 6 categories. Thank you so much. You can get your copy by going to completemanbook.com, and you can actually get it for free. I just asked that you cover the basic shipping and handling. So it's a big discount from what you would pay on Amazon. Just go to completemanbook.com. So again, as I said, I have so super excited to have this guest join us today. So he is a sleep recovery performance expert coach. This guy is the real deal. He's coached some awesome people, including NHL players, high performers, executives. He works with entrepreneurs, and he's just a really nice guy overall. So welcome, Justin, to the show, man.
Thank you so much, Purdeep, for having me. It's like I said, it's not just a business relationship, but a personal relationship as well. So very excited to be here.
Yeah, and as I said before, you're a fellow Canadian. You grew up in Edmonton, is that correct?
That is right. Yep, just about another world away from you, it seems, like east to west.
Yeah, but you still have family in Edmonton.
Yeah, I go back probably 2 to 3 times a year when we're not dealing with travel bans.
Yeah, that's a tough thing right now. Actually, the producer of the show, Elio, you met him, Justin. And for those of you who don't know, we have Elio in the background. He's an awesome guy. He's a producer of the show. He was just talking about some individuals in his family that were impacted by COVID. And so, Justin, I hear what you're saying. You know, it's tough to travel right now and see family. But on the good news, you have some exciting news. Didn't you just do something recently? Um,
Yeah, so kind of doubled my family, and so proposed to my girlfriend down in Miami this past weekend. So it was amazing. It was one of those things that um, one of the moments that you'll never forget in your life. And um, being 2020 of what it is, we now document everything. So we've got both photograph and video footage of it. So it's something that
oh, dude,
yeah, oh yeah,
awesome.
something that we will never forget. It was, I proposed to her on a yacht. I got a yacht for the day, and had the crew kind of pose as crew members, but they were actually photographers and videographers. And the weather
Wow.
was gorgeous. We spent the day out on the yacht, kind of going around through Biscayne Bay and down to Key Isle, and uh, dolphins were jumping. Had them follow us for a little while. The weather was great. Had a beautiful sunset, and then did it at sunset. So
Man, that is so awesome. That's like a movie scene. Yeah, I got to make sure my wife does not hear that. She's gonna be all over it if she hears that.
it's so funny because Elise's dad said to us, he goes, or it was, we came back and kind of telling the story, and my dad, they both said at the same time, they go, "Okay, awesome. Thanks for making the rest of us all feel terrible. We all need do-overs."
You're one of those guys, aren't you? That's hilarious.
I guess so.
My wife would kill me. You know how I proposed to my wife? It was long story short, but she lived a ways away, and she was applying for her, I think it was like her third master's program here nearby. And when she got in, I was just so excited for her. I actually didn't even have the ring at that time. I went and got a ring pop and proposed to
I
her.
love it.
And she, you know, it's funny because she has it in a mold right now, but it's like the complete opposite of the type of gal she is. She would, what you just talked about right there, she that is like her ideal scene. She would forever remember that.
That's
So
awesome.
I'll have to remember next time, man. But that's cool. Congratulations, man. I'm super happy for you. You and I know each other obviously before. For you out there listening, Justin and I are also co-hosts on the Coaches Council podcast, which is a podcast for high performers who or just people in general who want to have a better life. We bring in all different kinds of people as guests. We talk about different aspects of life, performance, and it's a really cool show. If you get a chance to check that out on typical platforms, podcast platforms, check it out. But Justin's a co-host there. He's an awesome guy. And Justin, why don't you just give us a quick breakdown in terms of the work that you do right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in this time in life and society where sleep deprivation, recovery, energy is at an all-time low. And we, as people, are continually neglecting the number one thing that actually is the key indicator of longevity, performance, mental clarity, mental wellness, and overall health, which is sleep. And we don't know how to sleep. We don't know how to prepare for sleep. We don't know how to prepare our bodies to be able to perform. And so what I do is I use data and metrics to help optimize individuals' routines, individuals' schedules based upon their game. I always say a little saying that we use is "play your game, not the guru's." And so we actually help people, entrepreneurs, executives, and their entire teams actually optimize their routines based upon data and analytics to gain more energy, sleep better, sleep longer, and ultimately perform at a higher level.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think what you said, we really neglect the sleep aspect. It's really interesting. So Justin's going to be helping me out here as well. He's taking a look at some of the stuff that I'm doing, and I'm big into health and wellness myself, and so is my wife. But this is just a different level, right? You take it to a different level because it's all about data for you. And I think that's the difference.
You're exactly right. And there's so much anecdotal advice out there, opinions. And to be honest, a lot of it is based on nothing. It's based off of generalized science. It's based off of generalized case studies. But Pradeep, you're different than me, who's different from your wife, who's different from Elise, who's different from John. And all of a sudden, if we try to have everybody play the same game, you're probably only operating at 65, 70% of your best. Well, anybody who wants to take it to the next level, who wants to keep improving, you can't be operating at 60, 65, 70% of your best. It just doesn't work. There's a point in which either A, you're going to burn out, B, you're going to stop being able to perform in areas that you would want to. That's when we start to see a lot of people struggle with their weight. We start to see people struggle with that rhythm between home life and work life. And we just really start to see this battle that goes on inside of each person. And it's something that doesn't need to be there. That's, I think, the biggest thing that people need to understand is there is hope. There is very subtle changes that can happen and see maximal results because we're actually pinpointing the exact thing that is creating this issue. And we do that through, again, like you said, data and analytics, really driving from the DNA epigenetic component. That's where we start. And then we go into daily metric accountability, utilizing wearable technology. Wearable technology has now become $100 billion, that's with a B, $100 billion industry. But yet there's this massive knowledge gap between what information we're seeing and how we're actually applying it. We just become this big library of data that we're like, oh, fancy colors and numbers, but have no idea how to actually apply it to our life and create change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a generalization right now because, like you're saying, the Apple Watch is out there. I got the Fitbit Verse. Well, I'm not wearing it right now, but I got the Fitbit Verse myself. And I think companies are trying to do their best to give that information to users, but it's what you do with the information that's the most important thing. Like, it's great to say, okay, you got an hour and a half of deep sleep or 2 hours of REM sleep. Okay, but how do you improve it? And what do you need to do?
You're exactly right. And okay, so you just brought up a great point. You've got an hour and a half of deep sleep. You've got whatever you said, an hour of REM sleep. But how do you get more? Or is that good for you? Or is it not good for you? How did you get that? If you feel good and rested off of that, what did you go through in order to get to that point? And then the next day, the biggest thing we see is inconsistency, where one day you're going to get 2.5 hours, the next day you're going to get 30 or 40 minutes, the next day you're going to get an hour and a half, the next day you're going to get 2 hours. Well, what is causing that? And if we sit back, and another thing I like to say is we run your body like your business. You would never be okay running ads and having an ad not work at all, bring you no leads, have no click-throughs, no nothing, but just continue to run money to it and continue to run it because, well, everybody's running ads, right? I must be doing the right thing. But instead, we look at the data, we understand what it means, we apply the changes, either increase ad spend, decrease ad spend, eliminate it, change it, tweak it. But because we know what the data means, we can make the appropriate applications to it. But in our life, we just continue to do the same things. We sleep the same way, we eat the same way, we exercise the same way, we deal with stress the same way. We have a same night routine or no night routine whatsoever. And we continue to wake up with a lack of energy, with depressed immune systems, with this feeling of depression or anxiety all the time. But we're just like, I'm just going to keep doing the same things and it's going to pass. But it doesn't. And that's the biggest thing that we start to see is this gap between information and understanding and how to apply it. And the application is something that cannot be automated, quote unquote. It can't be, you can't just look at a watch and say, oh, this is what's happening. You need to have the foundational understanding and knowledge from people who have been there, done that, and spent their life doing this to be able to really understand what it is that's going on so that you can create that long-term facilitated change in your life that you're truly looking for.
Yeah, there's two things that stand out for me based on what you're talking about. One is, when I talk about the concept of being the complete man for you gentlemen out there, it really, the completeness, there's different aspects to it. There's a mental, there's a physical, there's the emotional, and then there's spiritual. You can say completeness. If you're low on any one of those areas, you're not going to be complete, which means that you're not going to be performing at your best. So what he's doing is awesome, because if he can improve your sleep, it will improve your performance. It may even be 5% or 10%, but that's a significant improvement overall. And if you do that on a daily basis, for example, it adds up. So for executives out there that are making a lot of decisions, for entrepreneurs, you're go, go, go. One of the biggest complaints I hear when working with executives and entrepreneurs is that they don't have the energy to be able to enjoy the life outside of work, right? Because they're putting so much energy into that. Into the work, that they're losing other aspects of their life, and then their family is saying, "Hey, look, you know what? You're not being present with me. You're not fully engaging with the kids." And I know I've been there myself. The second thing that pops up is just the importance. It's so important. I know you're talking about it, but I have to share a personal example. My wife struggled for a long time after she had our two kids, and she was just, you could say almost, she had a little bit of postpartum, but then after that, she struggled a lot with making decisions. She had a foggy brain and memory, and she's a health practitioner herself. And it was after about a couple of years when she started to have more, you can say, physical illnesses, autoimmune disorders, for example, that she went into a deep dive, and she went in full force to figure out what was happening with her. And it just so happens her dad's actually what we call a sleep doctor. He has a sleep clinic, and so she actually works with him too. So she has a background on that. But it wasn't until we really got down to the root cause of her sleeping pattern, or she did, of her sleeping patterns, that she was able to make a big difference, a big change in her life, which had a dramatic impact on her health. It had a dramatic impact on her memory, but more importantly, how she was with me in our relationship, as well as the kids. Like, she just became a lot more present. Her memory was better. She was just a lot happier. So I can attest to the work that you're doing, and the importance of having an expert. My wife is a medical practitioner. Her dad's a medical practitioner, and they've spent years studying this kind of stuff. So, but the average person doesn't have that knowledge. So that's why I'm saying it's important for you guys out there, if you're listening, if you're struggling with some of these challenges, if it sounds familiar, then I highly recommend you reach out to Justin, because I think, Justin, your site is what, justownit.co?
Justownit.co. Yep.
And let's talk about your background, because we haven't talked about that. Because, right now you seem like a regular guy, you're an expert, but you've coached some pretty high performing people. You still do. You were in the NHL, right? Coaching individuals. So maybe you could share some of your background.
Yeah. So I've always been obsessed with performance and health. And it actually was what allowed me to play hockey at the highest level as a player. Because at the age of 15, 16, I started to attach the wires to my head, to my temples, had the heart rate monitor at night, pulse oximeter. And I was just fascinated with, how can you become a better version of you? How can you consistently show up better than the next person? And this was in athletics and sport, because that was the arena that I was playing in. And I think it's important to know that I don't care who you are, man, woman, young, old, every single one of us is an athlete. It just depends on the arena in which we're playing in. It could be business arena. It could be the home arena. It could be the parenting arena. It could be the athletic arena. Every single one of us is an athlete. And so I want to know, how can we out consistent everybody? That was the big thing that I wanted to look at. So I used data on myself as case studies, got me to the highest level of sport to play. And then I took on the coaching side, went and got my master's degree in ex-phys performance science, as well as psychology, and then continue to learn. And it very quickly escalated me to the National Hockey League, and worked with 3 different teams over the course of 6 years, and then also ran a couple programs in the NCAA, won a couple national championships in basketball, and then in hockey, and put about 15 guys to the National Hockey League while running that NCAA program, and it was extremely exciting. And it wasn't until I had a company reach out after reading a book, and you touched on that individual in your intro. That little company was Amazon, and to work with their executive team on sleep performance recovery. And when I first got off the phone, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to teach these guys. Well, I work with athletes. That's it. But very, very quickly, I found out, exactly as you had mentioned, that they were looking for more energy, more higher performance measures, more mental clarity, more happiness, consistency, fulfillment. All of these things that I was ultimately doing with the players on an individual basis, but then they asked to create that culture within that space. And that's exactly what we did with the teams. And so very quickly, I started to find that, hey, athletes in the athletic space and entrepreneurs, executives in the corporate space and the small business space, they're looking for the same things. And the big thing that's missing is because in the athletic space, that culture is already there of data, individualization, treating you as the best version of you so that as a team you can be better. But it hasn't infiltrated into the business space yet. And that was where I was able to make such a great impact, where you come in and you start working with people to make them the best versions of them, utilizing the number one thing. The number one indicator of longevity is sleep. The number one indicator of long-term memory is sleep. The number one indicator of mental clarity and focus is sleep. The number one indicator in suppressing long-term chronic illness is sleep. But yet it's the one thing that we do not focus on. We don't prepare for it. And when we focus on you as an individual and what your lifestyle needs to be, it completely changes the way in which you show up and changes the culture in which your team operates. And that's what we've been able to do. I think a big thing I want to touch on this too is because a big myth that's out there is that, oh, if I'm focusing on sleep, I need to get 8 hours of sleep. I need to go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night if I need to get up at X amount of time. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. I've got clients that I'm working with that we actually built their routine for them to go to bed at 2 a.m. because that is what, according to their DNA, they're night owls. That's when they get the most work done. Their sleep cycles really don't optimize until later in the evening. And so why are we going to push against that and just go off the generalizations of what certain gurus say when it's very different from what the data is actually telling us and the personalization of what we can do to make that happen for you? So at the end of the day, what's the most important thing? That you are performing at the best that you can. So you're better for your employees, you're better for your staff, you're better for your team, you're better for your family, your friends, and most importantly, you're better for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that because people, I think, especially when it comes to the health and wellness space, which is, we're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars that are spent on that. There's so many fads out there. We're talking about keto diets. We're talking about all these different things. And I personally believe, and this is my personal belief, is you got to find what's right for you. So for diet, for example, for me, I eat pretty strict during the week and then I just pig out on the weekends. That works for me. I'll eat whatever I want. I'll eat cookies, I'll eat chocolate, I'll eat, whatever comes my way if I feel like it. But that's just the kind of lifestyle that I enjoy because I don't mind being strict Monday to Friday. And it allows me to look forward to weekends. It allows me to look forward to the time when I'm going to spend with my kids and bring out some popcorn and not worry about, okay, how many calories am I taking in and all that kind of stuff, which really makes a difference because you want this. It's about enhancing your life, right? And totally. I think this is a really good conversation because we talk about commitment, and to be committed to whatever it is in life. It has to be part of your lifestyle. it's not one of those things where it's like, I'm just going to do this for 2 weeks and try it out, or you're going to go all out for a month and then you fall off the wagon. The more you can adapt it to your lifestyle, and that's again why the work that you do is so important. It's about making it work for individuals.
Yeah.
What do you think is, if someone was to say, I'm lacking sleep, what is the first thing that you look at?
The first thing that I look at is how they prepare for it. And when I say that, people are like, well, I brush my teeth, I have a shower, I go to bed. Well, no, what do you do to prepare for it? Because in I don't care who you are, male, female, black, white, young, old, big, small, we have 90-minute sleep cycles. And those 90-minute sleep cycles are light sleep, right into slow wave sleep, which is a deep physical restorative sleep, right into REM sleep, which is a deep mental restorative sleep. And then we come back through a little wake cycle. And so that whole thing takes 90 minutes. Now, the difference between all of us is the speed that it takes us to get into each cycle. So everything is determined by the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the part of the nervous system that's like rest, digest, relax. Well, if our parasympathetic nervous system is not optimized, if it's not ready when we go to sleep, it's going to take us longer to get past that light sleep stage and get into that slow wave sleep. It's going to take us longer to just fall asleep. It's going to take us, we're not going to get into as deep of those rhythms as we potentially could. Thus, our sleep is not going to be as deep. It's not going to be as effective. And that is why the data is so important. And it's so important to know what the data is telling us. Because if our HRV is high, that means we're doing the right things. If it's depressed and it's low, it means that we're missing out on a couple things from a nervous system standpoint. And so that's where we know we can start. If our resting heart rate is elevated, that means there's probably something going on neurologically that we have to address. If we're not getting into these deep stages of sleep, slow wave sleep, REM sleep, again, there's something that in our routine that isn't working for us. And so that's where we can start to really look at the routine in which we're doing. And a quick takeaway for everybody is usually this 3-2-1 rule, where 3 hours before you go to sleep, if we're aiming to fall asleep at 10 p.m., 3 hours before you go to sleep, no more food. 2 hours before you go to sleep, no more work or brain stimulating activities. 1 hour before sleep, no blue light, no iPads, TVs, phones, anything else like that. And people always say to me, blue light blockers, I like it.
Yeah.
And people always say, well, 1 hour before I go to bed, I know none of those things. Well, what am I supposed to do? Well, that hour is where we're starting to stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system, where maybe it's meditation, maybe it's light stretching, maybe it's a hot shower, maybe it's a hot tub if you have access to it, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's a slow, small walk, maybe it's deep breathing exercises, maybe it's a little bit of yoga flow, whatever it is that works for you. And we figure out what that is. And that will thus prepare us to fall asleep at that 10 o'clock mark, because our body will know that circadian rhythm kicks in, that, hey, it's time to release the melatonin. It's time to release the adenosine. It's time to release the other sleep hormones that are going to help us fall asleep, that will put us into those deep restful states.
Yeah, I think we're coming back to that time now where people are saying that rest is important. Before, it was seen as a symbol of status, you can say, for a lot of guys to say, yeah, I stayed up until whatever time working, or
it was that badge of honor.
Yeah, I'm so busy doing this. In all honesty, that's the exact opposite of what I do with guys in terms of working with them. It's about having the freedom to do what you want. If you want to go to sleep at 1 o'clock because it's your choice, maybe you're just chilling out watching a movie with your family, then you do that. But you shouldn't feel like you're being forced into that. And that's one of the things about creating that freedom in life. But I really like what you're talking about from the routine standpoint, because we started taking a look at that as well from an eating standpoint. Even when it's fun, because I'll take a look at, if I have a couple of glasses of rye or whiskey or whatever that is, I'll take a look in the morning. You could tell your heart rate's up, right? Your sleep patterns are thrown off a little bit. All these things do have a major impact. But these are things that most people don't pay attention to. What do you think is one of the biggest causes of people lacking the knowledge or awareness?
So the biggest thing is it's so one is the misconception of that badge of honor, like you spoke about, where you're staying up late because it's what is gonna get you forward in life. But long term, it's actually what's gonna hold you back. And don't get me wrong, I'm not an extremist that says if you're out one day, it's going to ruin everything. There's a rhythm and a balance. It's all about the chronic long-term effect, right? And so going back to your question, there's one is the stereotypical badge of honor. The longer you're up, the it's like the suffering Olympics, I say.
Hmm.
Well, one guy says, I was up until midnight working on this. Oh my God, you were up until midnight? Didn't sleep a wink last night. Well, okay, great. You guys all win. I was asleep at 10 p.m. I feel great this morning. I'm going to do better work than you because I'm just more clear and mentally focused, and I still got the work done that I needed to. So it's that badge of honor that is there that people have had a hard time getting rid of. That's number
Hmm.
one. Number two is the information that's out there. Everything is conflicting. It's the same with diet and exercise. The keto diet's best. No, paleo diet's best. No, not eating at all is best. No, the juice diet is the best. No, ice cubes diet are the best. Well, come on, like you hear one thing and then you hear another thing that completely contradicts what you just heard. Same thing on the exercise front. High intensity interval training is best. No, you shouldn't do high intensity interval training. It's too hard on your body. Yoga is the best. No, you shouldn't do yoga every day because you're going to become too flexible. It's like, how do
Yeah.
you know what is right? And so with sleep, it's the exact same thing. And the toughest part about it is we as humans are always willing to sacrifice things for ourselves, for our families, thinking that we're being selfless by staying up late to do the laundry or prepare lunches or whatever it may be, rather than focusing on our own sleep, recovery, and routines. And
Hmm.
it's the inverse. It's this mentality shift that needs to occur so that we are able to show up as better versions of us, which will thus allow us to be better versions of ourselves in our family settings, in our work settings, and and just in daily energized life.
Yeah, I think that's so important because one of the biggest feedbacks I've gotten in terms of the book, The Complete Man, is the chapter on vitality. So I included that there purposefully because I'm a very strong believer that you need to have strong vitality in the four areas that I talked about: mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical. But I don't really coach in all of those areas. I don't coach on the physical aspect. The other aspects I do, like I don't go into okay what you should be eating, what you should be, how you should be sleeping. I can give generalizations, but that's where someone like you comes in. That's where an expert like you comes in. But the biggest feedback that I've gotten is a lot on this chapter because a lot of guys have realized that they've allowed themselves or let themselves go, and that's impacted their performance. It's impacted their quality of life.
Completely.
And the more you pay attention to yourself, like I'm very firm believer, guys. Like first thing I do is I take care of myself. That's working out, doing my meditation, getting my mind straight, having my creativity time because I enjoy that. Because I know when I take care of myself, I can take care of my family, I can take care of my clients, I can take care of my business. If I don't take care of myself, everything else, the performance is impacted. And I know that, and I've seen that over the years. So I am selfish when it comes to myself. I am selfish with my own self-care because I know that that is actually selfless. The more I take care of myself, the more I'm able to take care of my family. Just something really important. Justin, I know you have to go here because you're tight on time. Where can everybody go to find out more about you in terms of the work that you do?
Yeah, justownit.co is the best place to reach me. There's a place that you can book free calls there with myself and our team. And if you just go to LinkedIn as well or Instagram, just my name on either of those platforms. I'm very active on both of those. It is me managing them, so you do get responses there, not some robot. But yeah, either of those two platforms, LinkedIn or Instagram, is a great place to reach out and just find more content on what it is that we do as well.
Yeah, so thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great value. I know the listeners, watchers out there will definitely be paying attention to this. So have a great day, man.
Thank you so much, Purdeep. Look forward to chatting and Coaches Council on Friday.
We'll see you then, man.
See
Take
you.
care. So there you go, guys. You just heard it from Justin, a total expert. This guy has coached NHL players, still does coach NHL players as a top performer, knows what he's talking about. And the one thing I appreciate about Justin the most is it's all about data. It's about science. Having a science background myself, I understand the importance of actually having real information, data, and research to be able to back up what you're actually talking about to help people. It's super important. And the work that he does is phenomenal. As I mentioned, I personally experienced the challenges of what it's like to not have the level of sleep. But once you get that stuff down, and I'm super excited to be working with him too, because he's gonna help me get even better performance. But once you get your sleep down, once you get the other aspects of your life down to that routine or that level of performance that you want, everything else becomes just a lot easier. And again, that comes back to the theme of the show, which is all about commitment. If you don't have the energy, if you don't have the vitality, if you're not performing at your highest, it's tough to be committed to what you want to achieve, because you just don't have that energy. You're going to come and you're going to be like, I just don't know if I can do it today. But when you're performing at your best, you are going to be highly committed. And again, if you want to get a free copy of the book of The Complete Man, I ask that you go to completemanbook.com. All I request that you do is cover the basic shipping and handling, so it is at a significant discount compared to Amazon. Go to completemanbook.com. Learn how to achieve complete, you can say, ultimate performance fulfillment and victory in all aspects of your life. That's the subtitle of this book. It is super important because I firmly believe that you were put on this earth to have what you want in life, what you desire in life. And the only way for you to do that is for you to make it happen, for you to become the complete man and create that complete life that you've always wanted to have. So again, I thank you so much for staying tuned to this episode. I appreciate it. I hope that you will tune in next week, Thursday at 8 o'clock. Please like and share this with your network. The more men we can help out there, the better. And I wish you an awesome day. Take care and all the best.